Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to talk about a new Regigigas. There is a new Regigigas coming around in Terastal Festival. Presumably it's going to be in Prismatic Evolutions over here. And oh my word, this Regigigas is awesome. We knew there was a live stream today. We knew they were revealing a new card. And we were like, it's going to be a 4-hour live stream and then they're going to reveal a generic common. Oh, no, they're not, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to reveal a ridiculous new card. This Regigigas is legit and I am 100% convinced it's going to see a lot of play. And this makes me happy. Because one of my big regrets in the Pokemon TCG was that I never played Regigigas, the level X. But the problem was, at the time when everyone was playing Regigigas Level X, I'm playing fighting decks like Donphan and Machamp and absolutely wrecking Regigigas. I did make up for it years later when I played Regigigas EX and had some very nice finishes with it. Well, now there's a new Regigigas, and it's not a deck in and of itself, but it is a phenomenal tech. We've got 160 HP, retreat cost of 4, and we have a single attack for 4 energy that does 100 damage. That's not enough. That's terrible. But if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Terastal Pokemon, then you do an extra 230 damage. And it is an extra 230 damage. Yeah, that's absurd. That is absolutely absurd, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely absurd. 230 damage is absolutely huge. And Pokemon is a game about numbers, right? And the thing is, 340 is the maximum HP we have seen from any Pokemon naturally so far. It's the most we've seen. And if we have a look, the big Terra Pokemon around at the moment don't hit that. As a side note, if there was a 340 HP Terra Pokemon that you were desperate to go after, I mean, firstly, it's 10 damage. Secondly, Vitality Band. There we go. Extra. If you can't get the 10 damage any other way, just whack a Vitality Band on this big boy and you've got 340 and you're good. And the thing is, we are in a format at the moment with lots of very, very good Terra Pokemon. Take Charizard, for instance. It's been great since it was revealed. It is still great. We saw a 5th place finish for it at LAIC last weekend, and it's everywhere, right? It also came 10th and 15th and 16th, or 4 in top 16. It's a great deck. And you know what? It's a Terra Pokemon that's got 330 HP. And these numbers, they're not a coincidence. It's not, look, Regigigas happened to magically do the same amount of damage as Charizard has HP. No, mate. This was designed this way. It is designed as a counter for things like Charizard. It's a great counter to things like Charizard, and that's kind of the point here. Another one which has seen a huge amount of play lately, how about Dragapult? It won the first regional in Europe this year over in Dortmund, before taking a 2nd place finish at the 2nd European regional of the season in Lille. It's a phenomenal deck. It's also a Stage 2 Terra Pokemon that has, it's less than 330 HP. It's 320. So you're getting a one-hit KO on this as well. And you'll notice I'm showing you Stage 2 EXs. They're EXs that are so good, we're even willing to play them as Stage 2s, but getting the Stage 2 up and all of that is a lot of effort, and then Regigigas just comes along and is like, cool. Yeah, one-hit KO, mate. How about Terrapagos? Terrapagos comes along. Now, this has got 230 HP, but it is often played with Bouffalont, which has got the ability Curly Wall, which will reduce damage by 60, giving it an effective HP of 290. We're easily good. Miles ahead. Miles ahead. We got breathing room here. You'll get a one-hit KO on Terrapagos as well. And you might notice that Terrapagos in the third regional of the season in Europe, Tord Reklev did get second place over in Gdansk with the Terrapagos deck. Also had a decent run at LAIC. We saw Austin Ellis get a top 8 finish over there at LAIC with it. We have good Terra Pokemon right now. This will KO all of them. Now, they're 3 top decks, but even if you're not against a Terra deck, we've still got some good ones. So 2 of the best decks around right now are Regidrago, which actually there was a Regidrago mirror match at the final of LAIC. So, yeah, that's a pretty good deck right now. And Raging Bolt, another very good deck right now. And what do they have in common? Well, they both actually need to play Teal Mask Ogerpon to get extra energy onto the board. And then maybe choose Energy Switch to move it over to, like, Regidrago. Raging Bolt, you can do that, it's not as important. But Regidrago, it's really important. And in Raging Bolt decks, it's just extra energy on the field to discard to do lots of damage. But you need them. That's my point. Well, Teal Mask Ogerpon is a Terra Pokemon, which means that even if it's not in the active attacking, it is a 2-prize liability sitting on the bench for the entire game that you can, pick off when you feel like it. When you have a little bit of a fancy, like, I fancy taking 2 prizes right now. Well, it's going to be sitting there on the bench. And they can't just not leave it on the bench. The decks don't really work without it. And that's the point I'm making here. We've got really good decks like Charizard, like Dragapult, like Terrapagos, that you will just get the main attacker, which is great. But then we got other main decks, real top tier decks, and Regidrago are now probably the best deck in the format, that are playing Teal Mask Ogerpon, which means that there's got an option for you to gust off the bench and KO. We are in a great format right now for Terra Pokemon, which means we're in a great format for countering Terra Pokemon. But this isn't going to work for everything. Not every single deck is going to be able to play this. It's basically any deck with energy acceleration. Any deck that can accelerate energy is going to work quite nicely. So, Gardevoir decks? No. Because Gardevoir decks only accelerate energy to Psychic Pokemon, and this doesn't count. But how about Lugia decks? Lugia decks will work quite nicely now, won't they? Because they use Lugia and Archeops to accelerate as much energy as you like. 2 Archeops out, which is what you should have, means 4 energy a turn, 2 from each Archeops. So you can, if you've got your double Archeops, which is obviously always a goal, then you can bench this basic Regigigas, and in 1 turn you can attach 4 energy from your Archeops, and oh look, 1-hit KO on any of those things in the active. And, need to stress this, single prize Pokemon. It only gives up 1 prize when KO'd. It's kind of a bit like Cinccino. Now, Cinccino's weird because Regigigas is really good against Terra Pokemon, not that great against other things, and it needs 4 energy, whereas, Cinccino with 2 energy hits 140, but then it's a stage 1, so it's a little bit annoying in that regard. But does anyone out there think that Lugia decks are not going to play this? Like, is there any world in which Lugia doesn't play at least one of these? Every single Lugia deck? I'm not seeing it personally. It's too good. Lost Zone decks play Mirage Gate, so they can accelerate energy. Now, it's a little more awkward here, because you need 2 Mirage Gate. 1 Mirage Gate gets you 2 energy, attack for turn, gives you your 3rd. You will need a 4th energy in order to pull this off. So you're really looking at double Mirage Gate. But you're also looking at a 1-hit KO on a 2-prize Stage 2 Terra Pokemon, or, could be basic, whatever. But a big 2-prize KO, I think a lot of the time it's probably going to be worth it. Even things like, I'm not saying this is the best use for it, but things like Palkia decks. Because you've got Star Portal, you can attach up to 3 water energy from your discard pile to your water Pokemon in any way that you like. So any deck playing Palkia and water energy can essentially use this. And if you Star Portal for free and then attach for your turn, you've got the 4 energy on and you're ready to go. And yes, I do think a lot of the time it's going to be worth it, even if you've got a Star Portal or double Mirage Gate, because firstly, you're KOing 2 prize Pokemon. Secondly, you're only giving up 1 prize when return KO'd. And thirdly, you've got 160 HP. Your opponent will need to put a little bit of effort in to get a KO here. 160 HP is quite high. And actually, at this point, maybe we should go back and remind ourselves that we have a retreat cost here of 4, which is very relevant because it works with Heavy Baton. Now, Heavy Baton only works with basic energy, so this isn't going to work in Lugia decks. But if you whack this on a Regigigas that's got 4 energy attached and at least 3 of them are basic, not only do you get to take a big KO and only give up 1 prize when return KO'd, but then you can actually save some of the energy, which is clearly absurdly good. I am in love with this card. I think any deck that can accelerate energy to a colorless Pokemon is going to want to play at least one of these, because its basic Pokemon, Colorless Energy, gets lots of key KOs and only gives up 1 prize in return. And the funny thing is, we can even see this used in decks like Charizard. Now, I know Charizard at the moment doesn't tend to play much energy. Like 5 energy is standard for Charizard lists, and that's going to be one of the big issues here. But Charizard can accelerate 3 energy from the deck, so that plus another energy, and Regigigas is ready to go, and maybe in a Charizard mirror match, for instance, when your opponent isn't able to one-hit KO you with their Charizard, you can one-hit KO them with your Regigigas. That you might need to up the energy line a little bit in order to pull this off. But my point is, there's this many options with this Regigigas. Any deck that can accelerate the energy can play this. And, I mean, think of how many times in a tournament you're going to play against Charizard, or Dragapult, or Terrapagos, or Regidrago, or Raging Bolt, or another deck that plays any Terra Pokemon. We've seen Greninja popping up in a few places here and there lately. 310 HP. Don't even worry about it, mate. Regigigas gets a straight KO. This is, and you can probably tell by the way I've been talking about this card, this is a slam dunk, hands down 5 Wossie card. This should have a huge impact on the meta. I adore this card. I cannot say enough good things about it. And it's one of those cards where the fact that it's basic, the fact that it's colorless energy, the fact that it KOs so many relevant Pokemon, the fact that you can use Heavy Baton, the fact that a lot of decks can actually use it because they can accelerate the energy, and so on and so on. In love with this card. Absolutely adore it. Hands down, slam dunk, 5 Wossie card. And I tell you what, Terastal Festival is starting to shape up. Even though it's going to have fewer new cards in, it is shaping up to be a very interesting set playability-wise. But I've gotten excited enough about this card. Now it's time to find out how excited you are about it. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And get shoutouts on the channel, like the lovely Dojo, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.